This is the border. We are in Rwanda now. Guys, can you believe? Okay guys, here we just exited the border post. We're in Rwanda. We just hope the conditions of the roads will improve. That's how you pass them. Okay, we're driving on the right hand side of the road here. I've never seen so many children. This is the second group. From Tanzania. So much better, so much more organized. Look at the places, it is completely different. You must just see on my right hand side how beautiful this country is. So lush green and everybody's got his little land well worked. I suppose they have a much different climate than Tanzania because it's green, but Tanzania was dry, Zambia was dry. Brown, here it's nice and green. That's a beautiful countryside which we can see. Look at this one with those bananas on. Look at that. Look at that. Yo. Mense, daai fiets is gelaai van die piesangs. Jy kan nie glo nie. Kyk hier in het vlas. Jo. Guys, look at Rwanda. Such a nice same continent. Rwanda is not on the same continent as Zambia and Tanzania. Okay, it might have to do with the climate as well, that they've got a much higher rainfall or that, but it's just different. Look at these lovely houses, look at the roads, look at the infrastructure. There is bad infrastructure, but they're busy rebuilding it. Things are organized. Okay guys, I want to show you, this is Kigali. Such a thriving city.
Okay, 100 years of Rwandan history in 3.5 minutes. Let's see how we go. Before the Europeans came, people knew where they stood. The elites were the Tutsi and the peasant masses were the Hutu. Rwanda was ruled by a king, and he was a Tutsi. Tutsis loved their cows with their beautiful long horns, but the Hutu farmers thought the cows were a nuisance, always trampling their crops. In the 19th century, the Europeans divided Africa up and colonised a bit each. Germany got Rwanda, but after the First World War, the other countries told the Germans that they couldn't play with their African toys anymore, and gave Rwanda to the Belgians. The Belgians found the Tutsi easier to get along with, more like themselves in fact. So in 1933 they introduced ethnic identity cards and made sure most of the jobs and education went to the Tutsis. After 25 years of being exploited by everybody, the Hutus decided that since they were 85% of the population, democracy, or something like it, sounded pretty good. The Belgians saw the writing on the wall and promptly switched sides and started supporting the Hutus. This was a surprise to everybody, and things got a little crazy. Hutus started using their newfound power to squash the Tutsis, and then a couple of years later, in 1962, Rwanda got its independence from Belgium. But it was more like a bloodbath than a democratic revolution. And for the next 35 years, Rwanda and its neighbours got caught in a cycle of killings and revenge. Hundreds of thousands of people became unwelcome refugees in surrounding countries. Many Tutsis fled north into Uganda, which was like jumping out of the frying pan into the fire because Uganda had its own murdering dictators. So for decades, those unhappy Tutsis dreamed of going home to Rwanda. Meanwhile, south of Rwanda, in a little country called Burundi, the Tutsis were still in power and murdering the Burundi Hutus. So the Hutu refugees from Burundi fled into the south of Rwanda, determined that they would never let Tutsis treat them like that again. Yes, it's getting complicated, isn't it? The Hutus in Rwanda didn't know what to think. On one hand, they'd overthrown their Tutsi masters and got power for the first time, but on the other hand, there were plenty of Tutsis left, and one day they might come looking for revenge. The Hutus were very afraid, and some of them decided that if things ever got ugly again, they wouldn't make the same mistake twice. Next time, they'd wipe the Tutsis out completely. Meanwhile, huge amounts of foreign aid money was ending up in bank accounts of corrupt Rwandan government ministers. But life wasn't getting any better for ordinary Rwandans. In 1989, world coffee prices collapsed and hundreds of thousands of Rwandan farmers lost their incomes. In 1990, many of the children of the Tutsi refugees in Uganda decided it was time to come back to Rwanda and sort things out. Their rebel army, the RPF, marched out of the Ugandan bush to make war on the Hutu Rwandan army. The Hutu government of Rwanda saw a way out. They got on the radios, they made speeches. The Tutsis are coming, those snakes and cockroaches will murder your children, they'll take away your land and they'll turn you into slaves. A few other countries tried to get the two sides talking, but it was no use. The The leaders weren't about to give up their power. They kept stirring the crazy pot until Hutus were nearly out of their minds with fear. On the 6th of April 1994, the Rwandan president's plane was shot down, and the message went out. Those Tutsis have killed the president. It's time to get to work. Kill them all.
My name is Dea, my name is Dea, my name is Dea forever. My name is Dea, my name is Dea, my name is Dea forever. Jésus ne chante pas, Jésus ne chante pas, il est toujours aimé. Jésus ne chante pas, l'amour que j'ai choisi, ne tu fais musique, l'amour que j'ai choisi, ne tu fais musique, l'amour que j'ai choisi, ne tu fais musique, il est toujours aimé.
There's Lake Kivu. Isn't it beautiful here? There we can have a nice view of Lake Kivu. But guys, this road is what I want to show you. Just have a look at this road. It's just one turn after the other, and the surface is so good. Okay guys, we're in at Lake Kivu. I'd just like to show you that little board there right in front of me above Jog's Head. DRC border is 1.3 kilometers away. We're only Ebola. Look this board about Ebola. Okay guys, this is Lake Kivu public beach. Okay guys, this is not very far from the in Rwanda, not very far from the Uganda border. They advertise gorilla tours. They must be up in these mountains, I guess. Yeah, we're not going to do a gorilla tour. It's simply too expensive. It's quite cool up here, about 20 degrees, quite cool.